Hello, and welcome back to Magneto ASMR. It's been a few years since I've made an ASMR video, and today is going to be about Magic the Gathering. Now, it's been a few years since I've played Magic the Gathering too, but I've got back into it recently, mainly through the online game, Magic the Gathering Arena. But today we'll be looking at some physical Magic the Gathering cards from the two Challenger decks for 2020 that I have, Cavalcade Charge and Final Adventure. Cavalcade Charge is a red deck, and Final Adventure is black and green. Let's take a look at Cavalcade Charge first. So, Cavalcade Charge works around the card Cavalcade of Calamity. And Cavalcade of Calamity says, whenever a creature you control with power 1 or less attacks, Cavalcade of Calamity deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. So what this deck has is lots of creatures with power 1 or less. There's Scorch Spitter, Tin Street Dodger, Fervent Champion, and Runaway Steamkin. It also has 3 Planeswalker cards, which, as one of the Planeswalker abilities, allows you to create 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens that have haste. You have to sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step, but they can still be used to attack and to trigger the Cavalcade of Calamity ability. As well as these small creatures, there are some beefier cards in the deck. There's Torbran, the Thane of Redfell, a legendary dwarf noble creature that allows you to increase your damage output by an additional 2 from red sources. This means that the 1/1 creatures can deal their normal damage, they can deal the damage from Cavalcade of Calamity, and they deal the additional 2 damage from having Torbran on the field. So there's 4 copies of Torbran in the deck. There's also the Throne of Eldraine card, Bone Crusher Giant, which has an instant adventure, dealing 2 damage to any target, and is a 4/3 creature. There's Embercleave. This is the mythic rare in the deck, which is quite a powerful artifact. And Rimrock Knight. Now, the other knight in the deck is Fervent Champion, and that allows you to boost another attacking knight by +1/+0. So although there's not many knights in the deck, there is the Rimrock Knight as well. Then there's Light Up the Stage, a very useful red spell, which can be cast for only 1 red mana if an opponent has lost life this turn, and it allows you to exile the top 2 cards of your library, and until the end of your next turn you may play those cards. Then we have the lands. There's 3 Castle Embereths, which allow you to beef up your creatures, still taking advantage of the Cavalcade of Calamity if they only had power 1 when they attacked. And lots of mountains. There's also some tokens, and there's a sideboard which I won't be looking at in this video. So one thing to say about this deck is it's not going to be playable for very long if you play by the standard rule set. Standard is a format that allows Magic the Gathering expansions to enter and exit on a periodical basis, and 6 months from now there will be a standard rotation, and a lot of the cards in this deck will no longer be legal in standard play. That includes Cavalcade of Calamity and some of the creatures. So this isn't really a great deck for a long-term investment, but I look forward to playing it on Friday Night Magic over the next 6 months. At least that is when the coronavirus restrictions are lifted and we can start playing physical Magic again. So that's Cavalcade Charge. Let's take a look at my second deck. Final Adventure. Now, in contrast to Cavalcade Charge, Final Adventure has a lot of cards from the Throne of Eldraine set, which will not be cycling out of rotation when standard changes in autumn of 2020. These cards I've shuffled through are all Throne of Eldraine cards. Still Throne of Eldraine. This will be coming out of rotation. That's Throne of Eldraine. These will be leaving standard. The mythic rare card for the deck, Vraska Golgari Queen, will be leaving, but she isn't really essential to the deck because the gimmicks for the deck revolve around a couple of different things. Firstly, there's the Lucky Clover artifact, which says whenever you cast an adventure, instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Edgewall Innkeeper, which says whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure, draw a card. And Smitten Swordmaster's adventure, Curry Favor, whereby you gain X life and each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of knights you control. So, this deck has a lot of cards in it which have adventures. And adventures are two-part cards. You can cast the creature for its regular casting cost, or you can put the creature on an adventure by exiling the card after you've paid for and cast the sorcery or instant on the left side, and then playing the creature later in the game after it has been exiled. So Smitten Swordmaster is a human knight with sorcery adventure, and there are a lot of other knights in the deck too. This means if you're going to be playing Curry Favor late in the game, you could have a lot of knights out, and you could be doing a lot of damage to your opponent and gaining a lot of life yourself. This is one of the ways you could win the game. Lucky Charm, of course, says whenever you cast an adventure, copy it. So you can be doing these adventures twice as many times as you have cards effectively. And also, Edgewall Innkeeper increases the number of cards you draw when you cast creature spells that have an adventure. So let's take a look at the different creatures. There's Smitten Swordmaster, which we've already looked at. Order of Midnight, another human knight. Foulmire Knight, a zombie knight with an adventure. Murderous Rider, another zombie knight. Now there's only 2 of these, but they are rares. Then there's some creatures which aren't from Throne of Eldraine. The Vampire Knight, Knight of the Ebon Legion, which is a very good creature. It only costs 1 mana to cast, but it's a 1/2, and it can be increased by +3/+3 for 3 mana, and it can be given Death Touch for a turn. So there are 2 of them in the deck. Black Lance Paragon, another knight. Midnight Reaper, another knight. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have the deck's mythic rare, Vraska Golgari Queen. Now I'll probably be playing Cavalcade Charge quite a lot over the next 6 months, and then I'll probably be taking out some of these cards and keeping the Throne of Eldraine cards. Vraska isn't really part of the gimmicks that I mentioned earlier, the casting of adventures, the accumulation of knights. So the deck can do without her. There's the 2-part card, Find Finality, which allows you to return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand, or put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature you control. Then all creatures get -4/-4 until end of turn. There's Lovestruck Beast, an adventure card from Throne of Eldraine, which isn't a knight, but it's a pretty good value card because it only costs 3 mana. And if you've done the adventure first, or if you've got another 1/1 creature, you can still attack with this 5/5 creature. And even if you don't have a 1/1 creature on the board, although Lovestruck Beast cannot attack, it can still block. There are 4 Lovestruck Beasts. They're all rares. The deck then is made up by a couple more cards. Disfigure, which isn't really essential. Some Bray lands, Castle Lochthwain, and a Fabled Passage. 2 Temple of Maladies, and the common lands, Jungle Hollow. Then we have forests, swamps, and the necessary tokens and emblem you need to play the deck. So I hope you've enjoyed this ASMR video. If you do play Magic the Gathering, Cavalcade Charge is a deck that I've lost to many times on Magic the Gathering Arena, and is a pretty strong deck in the metagame at the moment. That might change very soon when the new set, Ikoria, is released, but it should still be a fairly strong deck for the next 6 months. Final Adventure, with a few changes, should last longer. because all of the Throne of Eldraine cards in it, as I mentioned earlier, have longevity beyond the standard rotation in autumn of this year. So that's the two decks. I hope you've enjoyed watching and listening to this video. I do apologize if the sound quality isn't as good as some of my earlier videos. Unfortunately, I've not been able to connect my Blue Yeti to my phone yet. It doesn't seem to like the software on my phone, and it's not recording. But hopefully we'll get that fixed soon, and the sound will be back to a better quality. I hope to make some more Magic videos over the next few days. I will be posting them on YouTube in due course. So thanks for watching, and pleasant dreams.